All right, how is everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA, and thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. So, I want to do a segment kind of based on my Mastering Self-Confidence program, where I kind of try to help men find the woman or women of their dreams, regardless if they've been through a bad breakup or divorce. So, I haven't been doing enough podcasts on these subjects. I've been goofing around a little bit. I've been doing podcasts on calling people jagoffs. Doing some funny podcasts with my mother, blaming her for making my family members fat. But I've also been doing some podcasts regarding other things as well, trying to help people, or at least my opinions regarding things I've been through in the past to help others, I guess you could say, which can range many different things. It just depends on the subject I pick or the person I'm going to interview. But I'm going to slowly but surely start interviewing more and more people. But today, what I want to get into today is what I think, to a certain degree, women want. A lot of women may argue with me, tell me I'm full of shit, or whatever the case may be. I could care less. But what I've realized over the years, what I think one thing women want is security. And that's kind of, you're going to be like, yeah, no shit, obviously. But I think what they want when I say that is somebody, a man, that they know can take care of themselves. All right. And I'll just tell you a situation I got in later in life when I kind of, I stopped working with my father later in life, and I always did pretty well financially, nothing huge. I mean, I had really good years, my late 20s and early 30s. And then I've had years where I kind of slacked too, where I was making films. So I was actually spending a lot of money and spending a lot of time doing that, not necessarily making or banking a lot of money for selfish reasons more than anything else. And I started to depend more and more on my ex-wife to support us. And I even got in a position where I wasn't even working. And I think men don't realize, at least I think this, when you can't support yourself, you're losing a lot of respect from your wife or your girlfriend, whoever. And a lot of men too, and I fell into that, it starts to make us crazy that we're not maybe making as much money as we used to in our past. Or we're not making as much money as we thought we should be, or we're not making as much money for the work we're doing now, and it takes a toll on us. And I think a lot of times we vent and take it out on our wives or girlfriends, or even our kids, or whoever, friends, colleagues, family members. It goes on and on and on. But I really do think if a woman really, especially if you're just dating them or you're engaged, a lot of women are judging you by, if I marry this man, and I need him to be responsible and contribute financially. I don't care how wealthy, too. You may be dating somebody that's a multimillionaire, so maybe you don't need wealth. But most people are going to need two incomes, usually, in this day and age. Not always. And you may, again, find a woman that can help support you and your kids where you never have to work again. I have a friend like that. I actually have a couple friends like that, believe it or not, where their wives do very well. And they didn't have to, they stopped working, which is good for them. A lot of them, I think, get a little bored in things, but good for them, right? Kind of the flip side of a lot of men I know, and their wives, they stopped working and raised children, and then they never really worked again, or just started to do independent things like real estate or sell things online, or just, basically still take care of their household or whatever that may be. Now, here's the flip side to that. So you kind of understand what I'm saying regarding if you can't support yourself as a man, you're an asshole. Back to me calling people jagoff sometimes. But you're a jagoff if you expect other people to support you. I don't care what you marry into. I really think you have to have some type of worth. And I'm not saying money is everything. I'm the last person to say that. But you have to have some type of value for yourself and what you want to accomplish in your life. I don't care what you do. That's kind of common sense, I think. But when you, again, when you start making a lot of bad decisions, and I've been in this situation or you become very self-centered, where you're spending a lot of money and you're not making it, you're putting your family in certain situations, a lot of stress. Maybe you should be working 2 jobs instead of 1. You are being judged by your wife or girlfriend, no matter how you look at it. And if you're a man, you're judging your wife and girlfriend by a lot of things she's doing, right? Or fiance. You are each judging each other, each move, each month that goes by. You're kind of looking at each other saying, hey, he's He's holding, you don't even realize it. And then sometimes we get caught up, and I hate to say it, with losers in bad situations where you got to kind of carry the whole load. I call it pulling the anchor. And before you know it, financially now it all depends on, like, it may end up on you. And if you can't afford that, or it takes a toll on you, you have to express that I don't want to be in this situation anymore. If you get in a relationship and you expect it to kind of be where both people make an income, you should address that even before you get married or during a marriage, and say, even if you have a kid, listen, I can you still work? Or even your wife or girlfriend may be like, hey, if I get pregnant and we have children, I don't want to work. You need to become the main breadwinner, or whatever the case may be. I think these things need to be discussed. So, but back to something else I think that women love more than, I could say more, but the one thing I think that keeps women attracted to men is laughing and personality. And you hear that all the time. But the truth is, I think a lot of women go with men because of their personality. And I used to go around and say, laugh them into the bedroom. It's kind of a funny saying. But a lot of women, as you know, a lot of times won't give you the time of day. But if you catch them on certain days or the right time, right place, and things are flowing and they're kind of fun. And I think that's between those two combinations, having fun with somebody, literally, and being consistent with that, where you both enjoy each other, along with financial stability. I do think people obviously stay with some people just for financial stability, even though they're miserable. I mean, you can tell that in a lot of marriages, especially over the years. I also see a lot of couples that stay together. They're struggling. They don't have a lot of money, but they have fun together. They enjoy one another's company. So I don't know. I talk about this in my Mastering Self-Confidence. I think they've done studies on women, what they love the most. And one of the things I think statistically is ice cream. I think a majority of women like ice cream. A lot of them like sports cars, believe it or not. They like the look of them. It's not necessarily that they're going to buy them. And then they have all these different things. What else did women like? It was quite amazing. Besides, their shoes. A lot of women statistically love shoes. I'm screwing that up. A lot of them love Starbucks. I know that sounds, these are kind of common sense things, but after you think about it, a lot of them like shopping. And a lot like certain brands as well. It's a huge umbrella, and there's a lot of things women like, obviously. But back to what I think, if you want a relationship really to last, I think one is, I always say this, and I don't put yourself in the other person's shoes. And we goof around and we say that, but we really don't look at it from that person. We don't, because it's hard for men to look at things from a woman's point of view. It's almost impossible, I think, at times. And I also think from a woman's, I'm not a woman, obviously, but I don't think women understand what men go through as well. And I'm not saying one's harder than the other, or, everyone's got their thing, right? No matter what nationality you are, no matter what age you are, no matter who you are, a lot of people run through different, go through a lot of different changes in their lives, and they're being judged. I don't care I've been around very wealthy family members. They're being judged, or their kids are being judged that they're not maybe as intelligent. They didn't go to the same colleges their parents went to. They weren't as good of a student. They weren't as good of an athlete. There is pressures there. And I know a lot of people think white privilege, or you're privileged or it's easy for them. A lot of kids being born in wealthy environments, I'm not saying from a financial perspective that it's hard, but there is a lot of pressure there you don't realize. And that could obviously be on the other end. You could be born into a bad area, and you don't have anything. So on the other end, you could, you're being frowned upon maybe by society, or you're just uncomfortable because of the area you live in. That's not easy. I'm not saying either, whatever the case may be. A lot of people are born in many different environments. Again, you could be your culture, or your father wants you to be a doctor, hypothetically, and you don't want to be a doctor, but you're being forced to, kind of like I just saw that movie. What was by that one comedian? But a lot of people are forced being something, I think sometimes by their parents or their environment that they don't want to be, and they kind of become miserable. And I think a lot of that then transforms into a relationship. So you may think you're happy, but, and even if you do become a doctor, hypothetically, if your dad or your family wanted you come from a history of doctors, lawyers, or whatever, and you do become this, but you never wanted to become that, it's daunting. And I think even though you may have financial security, you then may, again, lose a lot of your personality and being who you truly are. And that comedian, what's his name, from The Hangover, he's a doctor, and he wanted to always be an actor, and he did stand-up and whatever. And then once he had a chance to immediately get out of being a doctor, he did it, because he never, I don't think, if he wanted to be a doctor, he'd still be a doctor, but he felt that he wanted to be this person. And he has a huge personality. What is his name? I don't know, I just saw stand-up by him. But I'm just kind of giving you examples of, I think, back to what women, men and women's perspective. And the same goes for women. I don't want people to think a lot of women are born in environments, I think, where they're being programmed to be something that they don't always want to be. It could be even being forced to be a mother, like a lot of mothers will be like, I can't wait till you have grandchildren, you're being forced, or why don't you take this type of job, or why don't you do this, don't leave the area, please don't leave the house. A lot of mothers I see not wanting to, sometimes want their daughters to grow up or leave them, right? I could see that. Let me get some water here. So I think that also takes a toll on their personalities. If you can kind of, men and women for one, I talk about this all the time, kind of start, and I'm not saying you have to entirely reprogram your brain, because I think your parents, family members, colleagues, everybody kind of conformed us into who we are. We value who we are. But if you really want to know, I think a lot of times what men and women want from one another is really respect. And they want them to value their opinions. Like I said, I think they definitely want financial security, and I think they definitely want to have fun with this person, because if you're not having fun with this person, what are you doing with this person, right? And then the one thing is respecting each other's opinions. Regardless if you agree or disagree, that can even be regarding politics, it can even be regarding religion, it can be regarding anything. So you really, and if you have a lot of problems with somebody, then you may really have to learn to step aside and move on to another relationship. I did a podcast previously on that not all relationships are meant to last forever. They aren't. Just because you start dating someone in your 20s doesn't mean this is going to be the person for you for the next 60, 70 years of your life. It doesn't always work that way. It'd be like a friendship. If you met a friend, doesn't mean, hey, this is a cool person I met at work today. Doesn't mean that the next 50, 60 years, well, I know it's different because you end up moving in together and things in that nature, but it doesn't mean necessarily that friendship is going to last forever, or anything's going to last forever. It's very interesting that when it comes to certain things in life, nothing is expected to last forever. I don't care what house you move into, what car you get, whatever the case may be. Your kids most likely will be in your life forever. That's one thing you are attached to if you want. But a lot of kids even go on their own way and do their own things. As you know, they move out of the house at a certain age. They move to other states, other cities, whatever the case may be. But this one person you met hypothetically in your teens, your 20s, or 30s, I'm supposed to be bonded and stuck with this person for the rest of my life. It's not the truth. And when you're younger, you kind of believe that, I think. And again, we were programmed to believe that that's what we should believe, and it's kind of it's unrealistic. Now, when you hit certain ages, say I'm middle age, I'm going on 50, and you start dating somebody, and you kind of, at least I did, you weed through the bullshit a lot of times. So I think when we hit a certain age, we just accept ourselves, and we have the patience to accept a lot of others. So if you've been divorced like myself, I know what it is to go through a divorce, and if I'm dating somebody who's gone through a divorce, I get it, right? If they have kids, I have kids, I get it. I get the whole thing a little bit. But if you asked me in my 20s or 30s when I wasn't divorced, I'd be like, my parents were divorced. I went through it when I was younger, blah, blah, blah. You don't know it till you live it a lot of times. I think a divorce is one of those things. So, but yeah, back to men and women, I think back to it's just respect. And if you are dating someone that is married, that was married and is divorced, it's not easy. So if you were never married, it takes a lot of patience, especially if they have children. And you got to understand too, if you are somebody who has been divorced and you have kids and you're dating somebody that's never been divorced or had kids, you got to have patience as well. Because you don't realize a lot of your you take up, I shouldn't say you, but people around you are taking up a lot of your time. And especially if you have kids. So you're kind of, which is a good thing, but if you're dating this person, all of a sudden that person has 1 or 2 kids, their attention, which should be, is a lot on their kids. So it's kind of like you could become second, third, fourth fiddle a little bit, and it's just the way it goes. So you got to understand it kind of goes both ways. So, all right, I don't think I have much more about to say on that subject, but please pay attention and learn to laugh. I always say it all starts with fun. If you are too serious, especially at the beginning of your relationship. And I get a lot of women and a lot of men, when they've been dating for long periods of time, they want to get things moving. They want to start getting, they may want, a family. They want to get a house. They want to start doing all these things that they've been waiting to do. The slower you go, I promise, the better off you're going to be. Slow. I'm telling you, be the turtle that wins the race. For the most part, the faster usually I think things move, especially in relationships, the more mistakes I think are made, or there's a lot of things that you don't know about. And again, some people meet each other, marry them, they could get married in a week, or a month or whatever. They fall in love and they stick together forever. But I think for a majority of people out there, you really got to go through that honeymoon phase. And sometimes it's not just 2 years of dating. It may take 3, it may take 5, it may take 10. There's all these kind of undertone, or I don't know what you'd call them, that all these rules, like if I date this person for this amount of time, I should be engaged at this time. Or if I've been with this person this long, we should have moved in together by this time. I don't understand that, because no one, again, lives the same life. No one's in the same relationship. No one is even remotely close to the same situation most likely you're in. So the more you just sit back and relax and absorb and just pay attention to the relationship you're in and go through those phases, I think the more you kind of go through when you're single with somebody, I think is going to really determine if you really belong together. I think sometimes when you get married too quickly, or at least that I've seen, you're both almost, I'm not saying you're strangers, but you really don't know each other to a certain degree. Because I always talk about, I did a podcast too, is when you're backed against the wall. That's truly who you are, I believe. And a lot of times we don't know people, because when we first start dating, I'm back to the honeymoon phase, it's kind of always fun, and which is wonderful, and it keeps going, and you didn't really go through any, really major setbacks. The more setbacks, I think, and I'm not saying you need a ton of them, but you could start to determine what type of person you're dating by the setbacks that they're kind of going through. And that could be losing their job. That could be different things emotionally. It could be financially. It could be many things. But that's what I believe is where you're going to see how they behave through that, and how much patience you're going to have with them while they go through that, and vice versa. Because that's really what a lot of relationships are based on. How much bullshit do I have to put up with you? How much bullshit do you have to put up with me for us to keep this working, right? That's really what it comes down to, is all patience. Because the minute you run out of patience, or you check out on that person, it's over. It's really about patience. Because, early in the game, it's a lot about sex. It's a lot about, adventure. It's a lot about restaurants, dating, fun, meeting new couples, meeting new friends, meeting new family members, and it's all fun. But then after year after year, after you've seen all the same people, you met all their colleagues, you met all their friends, you see who likes you, who doesn't like you, what couples want to hang with you, what ones don't. Does your girlfriend or does her dad like you? Does the mom not like you? Vice versa. Do your family members, siblings get along with hers? All this type of shit. And that takes time, because you really don't, you got to figure out who you are. And I would highly recommend moving in with somebody. Talk about that in my podcast. You're out of your fucking mind. My podcast, my program, I'm sorry. My program, I talk about, if you do not live with someone, I don't care about your religious beliefs or any of that, good for you. You should 100% live with someone before committing to marrying them. If you don't, I would highly recommend when you're traveling a lot, staying in hotels. But again, that's still kind of fun. That's more of a funner environment. But when you live with somebody, you truly find out who they are. Their good habits, their bad habits, how they behave in the morning, how do they behave at night. And I'm not talking about, I have an apartment, you sleep over once in a while, you have an apartment, I sleep over there once in a while. None of that bullshit. I'm talking about actually living with somebody. waking up with them time over and over again without makeup, them waking up next to you, how you look, how you behave, your eating habits, all these type of things. You're getting exposed. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, check out my YouTube channel. Lately, I've been putting up more things regarding fitness. I've been traveling all over North America again, so I've been just putting up things regarding all the LA fitnesses that I've been visiting. I thought that was kind of a fun adventure I could do when I'm traveling. I also put up things on there regarding my Mastering Self-Confidence program, amongst other things. And if you're interested in anything I'm saying regarding that, you can just go to masteringselfconfidence.com. I'm selling a program. It's like $495. It's 45 hours of audio material on how I think I can help men find the woman or women of their dreams, regardless what they've been through. And I'm not saying I've been through it all, but I think I take an honest approach more than most people that I've ever seen regarding dating. And I also have a lot of advice in there regarding, you could use it as a pickup artist book, I'm not going to lie. But I really approach, I think, a lot of things that a lot of relationship experts, I guess, wouldn't, attack, which includes, I know a lot of men like being with more than just one woman, being with two at the same time, or it could be men that are interested in strippers or women in porn. It could be men that are just interested in dating multiple different women, where to find the type of woman they're looking for, and taking an honest approach on that, which I don't see most people do. And I do a lot of, I've done other podcasts for people, and I wrote a book too called Wingman. It's a must-have guide to finding the woman of your dreams, and I've gone back and forth with so many people, and I think, and I hate to say this about most people that are teaching relationships, is they're outdated. They're still programmed by the way things were done in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. And times have changed, and they just don't understand that. They still want to pitch their bullshit. They don't want to accept, a lot of them will accept online dating. They don't like dating apps, which, I don't know. It's the way you use the app. It's just like anything in life. It's like having a car. If you drive a car like an asshole, you'll get killed. But if you drive the right way properly, you're going to get to your destination. So with apps, people are always like, oh, they're only for picking up women or picking up men, and then it leads to sex. An app doesn't lead you to sex. You lead yourself to sex, right? No device makes me go have sex. If a device or an app is in your mind forcing you to have sex with people or strangers, that's on you. That's ridiculous. And that goes for anything related to dating. If you think after you date someone 3 times you have to have sex, you're nuts. That's fucking on you. I don't know who programs these stupid little things. If you want to have sex on the first date, I wouldn't recommend it, but do your thing. Or if you want to wait, there shouldn't even be a number. It should be when the time is right. And again, I just think people I don't know where they get this shit from. I don't know. It's almost like they were teenagers and they never grew up, because I remember when you were a teenager, you'd be like, first base, second base, third base, you should do this. Try that when you do that. If she does that, you should do this. What are you talking about? The world's crazy with that shit. Anyway, I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. I'm not on Instagram as often. I'd say I'm more or less on Facebook. And more I like my podcast stuff. I think it's so much funnier. Videos kind of aggravate me a lot of times because it catches, not only does it catch every movement I make, I blink sometimes too many times, but the audio's got to be good, the location, and then you got to edit them. I don't even edit my podcast. I told everybody, this is me. I'm speaking out. I'm not going to sit there and critique it, cut it. What I say is what I mean at this moment. That doesn't mean in a week I may think differently, or somebody may dispute and I may get in an argument and be like, you know what, you're absolutely right. You know what, you're right. You were right, I was wrong. I can admit that. I could care less. But yeah, learn to have fun. And men, if you're married and you have kids, and I'm telling you, you're slacking on making bread, and all of a sudden, I'm not a money obsessed guy. Either's my father. Yeah, I don't think my mother, we're kind of experienced people. We love having wonderful experiences. Of course, we all need money. But if you're in a relationship and you cannot support yourself or show growth financially, at least to a point where you could buy groceries, You could pay for your electric bill. You're paying for your rent. All these things. You're going to start looking like a jagoff. And I'm telling you right now, you are going to lose a lot of respect. Now, if you're an actor, hypothetically a comedian, a producer, because I've been in those situations, and maybe you're dating somebody who understands being broke for long periods of time till projects get completed or until maybe you get discovered, that's understandable. But then on that end, you have to learn, you have to work hard, right? Going to do open mic night as a comedian once a week and not having a job and sitting around waiting for acting gigs to come in doesn't float. You know what I'm saying? And that would be the same as if you were dating somebody and you kind of got in a situation where you're dating an actress, say, or whoever it is. I don't care if she's an author. She could be whatever. And you start seeing her not writing, and you start seeing her not wanting to work, and her just getting lazier and lazier and expecting you to support her. Now, if that's the agreement you have, or you could financially do that, wonderful. But that goes for ladies as well. When a lot of men sometimes start checking out on women, and this is not a dig on women, a lot of women start to get lazy. And there's a lot of things related to that. It could be the way you look, the way you're carrying yourself, how you're just, the whole thing, and it goes both ways. If you want relationships to work, you definitely want to keep that respect, and you want to value yourself and others and be honest, right? All right. I'm going to wrap it up there. I wish you nothing but the best, and if you're traveling, safe travels.